Hey guys, bumper's finished and painted, looks awesome. It's a great satin finish on the bumper. It's black. We use Respirator and Rust-Oleum. Looks really good. Before I go any further, there's going to be a video after me doing the after of this walking around. I did a touch up on the bottom with a duplicolor on that. And then all this too, and the grills, and they look really nice and black, shiny, a lot better than that worn out gray that was on there. It was also chipping. It's not bad for a Rust-Oleum job. On that note, we're going to have links in the description below for everything I use to do this. And it's going to be a rather lengthy video because I'm going to put a before and after on this, but we're going to have links in the description below. I actually explain everything you need to do this, and it only really took about 2 or 3 hours of actual work. And it did, for doing it in a driveway, man, beautiful job. No overspray, looks clean. Bumper is a nice matte black finish, and if you don't want to pay a body shop a ridiculous amount of money to just do some touch-up, this video is going to show you how to do it on any make or model of car, any type of bumper, plastic, metal, whatever material it is. All right, let's get straight into it. Kindleunlimtied is out. Peace. Hey, today we're going to show you guys how to properly paint the bumper on your car. Any make or model, metal or plastic, this is the video that's going to show you how to do it right. Before we go any further, guys, as always, we're going to have links in the description below to ensure that you get the best price on all of these products that are going to make this process a lot easier and to make sure you get it done right. And be sure to check us out over at kindleunlimtied because we have basically every item known to man, everything from automotive stuff to clothing and way more. Links in the description below. And I'm just going to get straight into the products, and then I'm actually going to give you guys the 8 proper steps in order to do it right. So let's get straight into this. So here's what you need. I have it kind of divided into sections. You're going to need some old rags or towels, ideally something that doesn't have any lint or anything that's going to mess with the paint job. You're going to need some rubbing alcohol or mineral spirits to wipe the area clean after you sand it. But before you sand it and paint it, you want to make sure that you put some drop cloth down if you keep the bumper on the car, which I'm opting to do. I think it's going to be a lot easier with it on, and you don't actually risk stripping or breaking a bolt head if you have an older metal bumper like I do. That's just my honest opinion. Plus, I'm also going to be doing an undercoating video, so we're going to be hitting the inside of that bumper either way. You're also going to need your materials for spray painting. I like Rust-Oleum Rust Reformer for a base coat to keep it from flaking and rusting underneath, and then you can choose your color of paint. I'm either going with gray or black, haven't really decided. Here's a neat tool. We also have these on the site. You actually just put these on the top of the spray can, and then you can just spray it back and forth right from here, and it keeps saves your fingertips, and it also makes spraying a lot more even. I have these on the site if you want to check that out. I also suggest the brand Duplicolor because I'm also going to be touching up the bottom skirts of the van, and I am going to do a before and after around the van. I might do that right now after I'm done explaining all these products. But I got the Duplicolor of the actual manufacturer paint code from inside of the car, and then I have a couple of enamel coatings over it to make it really look nice after it's done. You're also going to need a sander. You could sand it by hand. It's kind of a pain. I have an electric one and an extension cord, and then what the internet recommends is 220 grit sandpaper. If you really want an aggressive one, I would use 60. Anything between 220 and 60 is fine. Honestly, you just want to make sure the flake's off. Other than that, miscellaneous tools in case you need to take the bumper off, wrenches, screwdrivers, that kind of thing. And then safety gear. This is the most important thing. And I'll touch on the drill after I mention the safety gear. Lung protection. Get a 3M performance respirator. Do not mess around with your lungs. The idea is to paint your bumper, not get lung cancer, and paint your corneas. You also want to have eye protection. Good pair of gloves, cotton gloves, any pair. I like the neoprene. They're great. Knee pads if you got bad knees, and to protect your knees. And then I also have a couple of things of cardboard here to protect the driveway, and then a piece of old cork. Basically anything will do. Even the drop cloth can fulfill that job pretty nicely. And now I'm going to do a quick 360, but before I do, if you don't have a sander, you can also use a drill with these little, I guess you would call them like metal scraper heads. They're very abrasive, but they will get off the paint flakes, which is a pretty good tool for this. So I'm just going to do a quick 360 of the van, show you guys what it looks like before and after. You see I did a little bit of touch up, but I'm going to scrape off some of this stuff just to where the white's on the bottom and not this rust. And then I'm also going to do these grills on the front, and I'm going to scrape this off. Just really the chippy parts. I just want to spray paint it black or gray, make it look a little bit more presentable. These pop off with, that's what I mean by miscellaneous tools. Like I'm going to pop off this plastic grill. There's 2 clips on the bottom, pops right out. Same with the covers. Put drop cloth over the whole thing so I don't hit, or masking tape or whatever. Spray paint the bumper, call that a day. Scrape this off. This side, all of this is pretty good, honestly. I might sand that and then spray paint it with a duple color. But other than that, and then wheels will be a separate video, because I just want to show you guys this whole thing. That's pretty much the process, though. It's basically all you need. And then let's get straight into this. I'm gonna start scraping this down, and I'm also going to explain the steps before I get into it. You can always fast forward, but here are the steps of this, okay? And I don't agree with everything in this list, but I thought I would read it off because this is how you properly do it, but I'm gonna give some anecdotes along the way. Okay, so step 1. Let me actually zoom in on this so you can read this with me. Step 1. If the bumper is still mounted to the car, remove it to make painting process easier. At the end, he didn't mention this in the beginning, or this article rather, you can paint the bumper without removing it from the car, but it makes it, that's up for speculation. It makes it more difficult if you opt to leave the bumper on. Use masking tape to protect the areas you don't want painted. So I'm just going to put masking tape on here. I'll probably just put a drop cloth and tape it down and then tuck it into the bumper. Very easy. I actually think it's more of a pain to take the bumper off and put it back on, to be quite honest with you. Plus, I'm also going to be doing a undercoating video. If you guys want to watch that too, I have a ton of really just Rust-Oleum ×2 stop rust paint, and then I have rust reformer. I recommend the paint. I recommend this and this over rubberized undercoating in any instance, because I've watched so many videos on YouTube of mechanics that have horror stories of people putting rubberized undercoating on their car, and it basically chips and flakes and it traps all the moisture underneath, which is a terrible, terrible thing, which is why it's better to just paint a clean, scraped or sanded surface underneath the car after you scrape off under. Anyway, I just thought I would mention that. So I'm going to continue on this list. I know I'm going off on a tangent, but it's all relative to the situation here. Step 2, strip existing paint from the bumper with paint stripper. Apply the stripper and allow it to soak for 10 minutes into the. You really don't need to do that, honestly. This is because step 3 is going to do that anyway, which is scuff the bumper with 220 grit sandpaper. I think it's a little ridiculous that people want you to soak it to get off the paint. It's coming off with sandpaper, I'll tell you that right now. Step 4, wipe the bumper thoroughly with mineral spirits and clean. You do need to do this after you're done sanding. Instead of mineral spirits, I'm actually going to be using household rubbing alcohol. Same effect. Evaporates very quickly, cleans the surface. It's not oil based. I've seen people use light detergent before. I don't know if I'm a believer in that. Step 5, spray on a light. Wait, did I skip? White bumper, yeah, white bumper. Spray on a light coat of primer. Let the primer dry for a minute or so. Then apply 3 to 4 coats of paint, I assume they mean. Step 6, wet sand the bumper with yeah, they do say primer. Wet sand the bumper with 220 grit sandpaper. Wipe the bumper with mineral spirits until it is clean again. Step 7, spray on a light coat of paint. Let the paint dry for a minute or so. Then apply 3 to 4 coats. And then this is really, if you're trying to do like a showroom thing, honestly, man, what I'm going to be doing is I'm just going to sand it down. I'm going to wipe it down with a rag with alcohol, let it dry off. Then I'm going to, of course, I'm going to coat everything. Then I'm going to spray paint it with rust reformer, and then if I feel the need, I'm also going to spray paint it again with a second layer of paint. But this is just to repaint a metal bumper. People think about this way too much. Sand, clean, paint, done. That's all you need to do. You just want a clean surface with no flakes so it does its thing. I'm going to get straight into this. I'm going to record myself doing this. Let me know in the comments below how you guys think it looks before and after. Here we go. So one important thing, in case you don't want to go all the way down to bare metal like I'm not, I'm just scraping off the flaky parts, I highly recommend you buy a rust reformer, spray paint it first, or even just keep it as black as your color. But you're going to want this if you're spray painting where you're just getting it to where it's flaking off, because this would take hours and hours of sanding, where this is going to save you a lot of time. Also, for those who think that wearing a respirator is not worth your time, this is after one spray painting, and you can literally see the color difference between the section where it goes in and the section where it was covered by the plastic. Look at that. That would be in your lungs. I don't think it went to the second layer, but still, like, look at that. You see that? You see that little section where that little hole is? Yeah. Lung protection, guys. Do not play around. Buy a respirator. That's after one time spray painting. 2 bumpers, and I think I use a total of like almost 3 cans. That's ridiculous. Wow. Buy a respirator. That's all I can say. Also, a view of the other side. Pretty much the same thing. Area of darkness right there. Don't play around, guys. Wear a respirator before you do any type of woodworking, spray painting, or anything that involves particles in the air. Peace.